Eyewitness News starts right now.
We're not gonna take it anymore.
Teachers vowing not to take it. Schools closed in all 55 counties today as thousands of teachers flood the state capitol, making state history, demonstrating their continued dissatisfaction over pay and health insurance issues.
And that is where we start right now at 6. Our Eyewitness News team has full coverage of the West Virginia teacher walkout with reaction from teachers, school workers, lawmakers, and parents. We begin with Eyewitness News anchor Whitney Wetzel, who is live tonight at the Capitol.
And Whitney, the rain couldn't keep them away, packing the Capitol, and they're gearing up to do it all again tomorrow.
Yeah, guys, teachers and school personnel flooded the Capitol today for day one of their two-day walkout by ignoring a threat by the state attorney general that their action is actually illegal. You saw here earlier today by about 10:30, already about 2,000 people had made their way inside of the Capitol. By this afternoon, that number had increased to about 4,000. As you can imagine, it was quite the scene as thousands of people stood in line just waiting to get inside of the Capitol building, others gathering outside to hold signs and make their voices heard to people that were driving by. Capitol Police also had extra help from state police to deal with the massive crowds today. Eyewitness News reporter Ashley Bishop joins us live now from the Capitol grounds, where she talked with some of those teachers who were here protesting earlier today about some of their concerns. Ashley?
That's right. Teachers from all across the state came out here to make their voices heard and to tell lawmakers enough is enough, and they want to see action taken. West Virginia's Attorney General weighed in last night saying that, striking is illegal and he plans to uphold the law. But many of the teachers out here today said, bring it on.
We're 55 United, yes.
So what do you say to them?
I say, what do we say? Good luck.
Thousands invaded the Gold Dome, making history.
I've never been a part of something so big, and this is truly amazing to me. And to stand together and all of us fight for one great cause is just an amazing feeling.
Young and old gathered along the front steps of the Capitol while more than 4,700 people entered the Capitol building, some waiting more than an hour to get inside and saying while this is an issue for them, it's also about the kids.
So I don't mind to stand in line. I'm standing in line for them and for them to live in the best West Virginia possible.
As for the raises that were just passed, educators say it hasn't fixed anything.
It's a joke. It's a joke. We started at 5.
It's not so much about the raise. It's about PEIA. That has got to be fixed. It's eating up more of our salary than anything else.
One social studies teacher says she is using this historic event as a lesson to students.
We are teaching our students democracy by standing out here. They're seeing people who are engaged in the process, learning about the process, and trying to push for change.
Many people say they hope lawmakers get the message.
It's the first time in the history of West Virginia, and this is not over. They're going to make sure that they're here today, they're going to make sure they're here tomorrow, and they're going to make sure their voices are heard.
Either way, teachers will be here at the Capitol once again tomorrow for the second day of their walkout. So we will see if this prompts any change with lawmakers, or maybe if teachers decide to extend this walkout into next week. We'll have to see, and we'll certainly keep you updated. Guys.
All right, thank you, Whitney. And of course, the Capitol packed today. However, there was one notable absence. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice did not make any public appearances.
In fact, outside of press releases, we haven't heard from the governor in a few days. Eyewitness News reporter Kenny Bass now live in the studio after spending the week trying to track down the governor.
And again today, trying to track down the governor. For the past few days, we've reached out to the governor's communications director, Butch Antolini, about getting a few minutes with the governor to talk about the teacher walkout, his efforts to fix the Public Employees Insurance Agency, and if there's any more money in the budget to pay for increases beyond what he's proposing. However, we've been told that Governor Justice is not available. The governor has issued several statements this week through his website, Facebook, and Twitter. Just a few moments ago, we got an email. He announced the appointment of R. Stephen Redding of Berkeley County as Circuit Judge of the 23rd Circuit. So congratulations, Judge. Earlier today, he expressed sorrow and passed along his sympathies in the wake of the death of West Virginia coal miner James A. Whitlock of Smithers. So he commented on that tragedy. Yesterday, the governor announced he had signed the pay raise bill, authorizing 2% increases for teachers, school service personnel, and state police. He added he's working to put the money into the budget so that all state employees would get a 2% pay hike. Also yesterday, he issued a news release directed to educators, service personnel, and other government workers. In it, he outlined his efforts to get those groups more money. But he also accused Democrats of grandstanding because it's an election year and said Republicans are being cautious and prudent with the state's finances. But again, he has not been available for us to talk with. In his defense, the governor does have other things going on. Remember, he's still coaching high school basketball, and his Greenbrier East girls team won a Class AAA Region 3 Section 2 tournament game last night, knocking off Riverside by a score of 72-57. Congratulations, Lady Spartans. Coach Justice and his team now have another game set for tomorrow night at home against Woodrow Wilson out of Beckley, and he'll be on the sidelines. So, as you can see, the governor's plate is pretty full. There is much more happening than just a 55-county statewide teacher strike. Priorities, people, priorities. We will continue to ask to talk with him at his earliest convenience. Reporting live in the studio, Kenny Bass, Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News starts right now.
This has kind of been coming for a while. We've been promised this for years. Nothing's ever come to fruition.
Day 2 of the statewide teacher walkout.
We want to see a commitment from this legislature to address these issues.
Is their fight for better pay and benefits working? We speak with lawmakers and sit down face-to-face with the governor.
Teachers need to be in the classrooms on Monday, period.
Now the big question for a lot of parents, will this continue into next week? Comprehensive Eyewitness News team coverage starts right now.
And right now at 6, that statewide school stoppage will continue next week with no signs of lawmakers or the governor budging any more on the teachers' concerns. Today, on this second day of the walkout, representatives of the unions announcing the next steps they will take.
That's right, Callie. That union announcement coming as part of a news conference at 4 this afternoon. And the big bombshell dropped by WVEA President Dale Lee, who says that work stoppage now continuing until at least Monday. He did not put an end on it. And that could be troublesome because when this all began, of course, we knew that it would be a Thursday and Friday work stoppage, a 2-day finite compartmentalized work stoppage. Now there is no end in sight, and we'll have to see where we go as we stretch this into next week. And of course, this all comes with the Attorney General, Patrick Morrisey, saying it's a strike, it's illegal, and the state can put an end to it if they file an injunction. We'll see where we go on that front. Meanwhile, the scene today very similar to what we saw yesterday, with thousands of teachers, many dressed in red, at the state capitol, chanting and making sure that lawmakers hear their message. We have team coverage for you once again this evening. Eyewitness News reporters Bob Aaron and Ashley Bishop also here at the Capitol.
This is about public education. This isn't about the teachers' unions. This is about public education. And the reason all of these people are here and that they stood up for themselves is for the students. They're standing up for their students, and we support them, and we will make sure that their voices are heard in whatever capacity it takes to have a true commitment.
The statewide teacher strike continuing. We now know there will be a 4th day of protests, and school will likely be out in all 55 counties tomorrow. Right now, we are waiting on county superintendents to make that call as we continue our team coverage of that historic walkout, covering every angle of this story, from that announcement to Governor Jim Justice's town hall meetings across the state about the strike.
Yeah, but he did not make an appearance at the Capitol, where thousands of educators descended once again today. Eyewitness News reporter Bob Aaron kicks off our coverage with what the governor told teachers on the 3rd day of this walkout.
While if Governor Jim Justice wanted to speak to teachers, he could have found thousands of them here at the Capitol earlier. He decided to seek a more moderate venue. Instead, he held town hall meetings in Wheeling, Martinsburg, and Morgantown.
You need to be back in the classroom. Our kids need to be back in the classroom.
Teachers are getting louder. They just wrapped up a chant of 55 strong. We're going to give you one more look at these teachers who are still rallying evening out here on the Capitol steps. Of course, they, along with all the parents at home, are wanting to know, will Be the last day of this historic strike, or will this continue into a 5th day? And the answer to that question right now is we simply do not know. We do know that union leaders were meeting with the governor for several hours today. A press conference has been scheduled for 6 o'clock. Of course, we are past that 6 o'clock mark now. So any moment now, we are waiting on the governor to come out and make some sort of announcement so everyone can know where we go from here.
And the governor has just taken a seat inside the governor's office, so we're going to take you out live as the press conference is about to begin, where hopefully we'll soon hear about some resolution to this teacher walkout. Let's go live to the governor right now.
We're going to give all state personnel right now, or all state employees a 3% raise. We're going to do an additional 2% for all those that are related to education, whether it be service personnel or teachers, and we're going to do it all in the first year. So in other words, the teachers and all the educators are going to get a 5% raise in the first year, and everyone else is going to get a 3% raise across the board first year.
Calling for our teachers and service professionals to go back in schools on Thursday, that we are taking this deal in good faith at this point, but we reserve the right.
All right now they're answering questions there from the media members in attendance. You heard from Chief of Staff Mike Hall. This is WVEA President Dale Lee. To his right is AFT President Christine Campbell. They, of course, represent the teachers, the Chief of Staff, of course, on Jim Justice's staff. Wow, what a day.
Guys, big developments as we just heard over on Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock. The teacher strike will come to an end on Thursday. Teachers and students heading back to class. The governor making that announcement at a press conference just a couple of moments ago, saying tomorrow will be used as a cooling off day.
It's very overwhelming. I mean, we've been here every single day since school has been out. We have been here at the Capitol. We have been very entrenched in this. We're very invested. I think 5% is a pretty good number, but I question we need more of a concrete resolution for PEIA.
A cooling off day for teachers has turned into anything but. Teachers say not so fast on a deal proposal to end a strike.
The task force is not a fix. The task force is not a fix.
The one thing they want before they go back to class.
Jim, tax your buddies, fund PEIA.
And what lawmakers say they're prepared to do to answer their complaints.
What we can do, we will do.
And right now, the governor's plan for teachers to be back in the classrooms tomorrow is quickly unraveling. Already, several counties have announced that they've canceled classes tomorrow. We are scrolling that list at the bottom of your screen. It's a story that keeps changing throughout the day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Many really thought that this was over last night.
Yeah, Callie, but it's not, right? We're still doing this. And now, as you mentioned, it's turning a bit strange. We have counties calling off school. We have other counties saying there will be school, but certain buses might not run. The whole thing seems to be unraveling on both sides of the spectrum. Meanwhile, teachers out here today on what was supposed to be a cooling off day, still hot under the collar, saying they got a raw deal and they want everything back on the table so that they can renegotiate PEIA and find a permanent fix.
A lot of lawmakers upset that they have not seen the governor today. They had several questions during that meeting about where Governor Jim Justice got his revenue numbers that he released today. About $58 million he projected that increase this year. And they had some questions about that for the budget director, but the budget director just replied he doesn't work for the governor. He cannot speak for the governor. Again, he has not been seen at the Capitol today, so we don't know exactly where he is. But again, we're going to be posted here to let you know what happens here in the House as they just are in session. That bell just rang, so they're getting started right now. And we'll keep you updated here and, of course, over on our social media pages as well as online. Live at the Capitol, Jesse Starkey, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Jesse. Just one of the interesting tidbits in all of this, that the governor has been conducting those negotiations over the phone today, and no one really seems to know where he is. No matter where you are on this issue, no matter what side you side with, it's easy to understand the frustration of a lot of those teachers, right? They said from the get-go that the sticking point was PEIA. They're happy with the 5% pay raise, but it's health insurance that was the big deal. That's why so many of them want to renegotiate this.
I think we might need another cooling off day.
Or 2. Or 3. Or 4. Or a week.
And you can see how many of us are cooling off today.
Many school teachers and service personnel furious after Governor Jim Justice met with union leaders to reach an agreement to end the teacher strike.
We're putting our livelihood on the line. We're putting everything that we have on the line.
Jim, tax your buddies. Fund PEIA.
Continued frustrations fueling the teacher walkout, and all eyes are on the Senate for a decision on the 5% pay raise bill. And happening right now, the calls to close schools are rolling in. Kanawha, Putnam, Cabell, all closed. In fact, 54 counties have already canceled classes tomorrow. The lone holdout down in the south, Mercer County, but we are expecting they will, of course, close too.
That obviously means the work stoppage will continue tomorrow. Also right now, action on the pay raise bill that would give a 5% pay increase to teachers, service personnel, and state police at a standstill.
I am skeptical. I should be skeptical. I'm paid to be skeptical because the timeline is suspect. The numbers are suspect. The commentary leading up to this has been all about, I challenge you all to go back and look at some of those comments. This is what we have. This is all we have.
West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey says he is waiting on an authorization from the State Department of Education or any county board of education to take legal action. He says he does believe this work stoppage is unlawful, and if a department reaches out to his office with a request, he will be ready to file an injunction to get the teachers back to work. If that happens, he says he could represent the state superintendent or a county superintendent. Morrisey also says many of the steps were laid out after the 1990 strike.
Yeah, the work stoppage is unlawful. I think that's a black and white case. And I think if we were to go into court, then it would be my expectation that a court would agree with us. I think these are similar conclusions that were reached back in 1990, and there's case law that backs that up.
We are continuing our team coverage of this walkout tonight.
And we begin with Jessie Starkey, who has been keeping her eye on a big meeting with a lot of key players today. Jessie.
Rick, that's right. A very heated back and forth meeting between superintendents from all across the state, about 45 of them, and Senate President Mitch Carmichael. They waited since noon for Mitch Carmichael, but he was obviously busy as the Senate was in session. When he finally arrived, about 100 teachers were outside that door chanting, "Shame on you." Obviously very unhappy with the Senate President, and they made it known by that chanting. He walked in and immediately started negotiations with superintendents from across the state.
Teachers once again packed the Capitol, this time to capacity, as they continue pushing for change. Meanwhile, counties keep making the call to close school tomorrow for the 9th day in a row.
And right now, no action taken on the pay raise bill for teachers, service personnel, and state police. During a meeting that just wrapped up, the Legislative Conference Committee, which is made up of members of both the House of Delegates and the Senate, decided that they would not make an immediate decision, and they will meet again for discussion. On Saturday, the Senate passed House Bill 4145 that would give teachers, service personnel, and state police a raise, but they changed it to a 4% pay raise instead of the 5% that was passed in the House on Thursday. The House did not concur, which is why that conference committee is meeting today. Today was the 8th day that school in all 55 counties has been closed, and now we are learning tonight counties including Kanawha, Putnam, and Cabell making the call to close school again tomorrow.
Our team coverage continues this evening. Eyewitness News reporter Gil McClanahan and Kaylee Gunderson are at the Capitol, and we begin with Kaylee, who just got out of that committee conference meeting. Kaylee, what can you tell us right now?
Rick, again, that meeting ended with no decision, and after that meeting adjourned, union leaders tell me they were not pleased with what they heard inside there. They said that they need a decision. They stressed how badly their teachers want to be back in their classrooms, but they said 2 senators are holding that process up.
Good morning, I'm Kenny Bass with Eyewitness News here in our Charleston studios with breaking news. The teacher strike is apparently coming to an end, just announced moments ago in the conference committee between House of Delegates members and Senator Craig Blair announced that the deal has been reached and that the upper chamber has receded from its position. There's Blair, who's talking about it now. That is a live look at the interim committee as Senator Blair continues to talk about a 5% pay raise for all state workers. That's teachers, service personnel, state police, and of course all state public employees. Blair earlier, just a few moments ago, said that he believes this is the largest raise for public employees in state history. Governor Jim Justice tweeting out just a few moments ago that he stood, quote, rock solid on the 5% teacher pay raise and delivered. Looks like right now that the teacher strike could be coming to an end. Reporting from our studio live in the capital city in Charleston, I'm Kenny Bass with Eyewitness News. We'll take you back to your regular program.
The West Virginia teacher strike is over. An emotional end for lawmakers and teachers to almost 2 weeks away from their classrooms.
Gets a little emotional. It means a lot here personally for me and my family.
What the government did today to make teachers happy.
And right now, the strike is over. Students will be back in school tomorrow after a deal was reached ending the West Virginia teacher walkout.
Governor Jim Justice signing House Bill 4145 into law just a couple of hours ago. Eyewitness News anchor Whitney Wetzel is anchoring our coverage this evening from the Capitol. Good evening, Whitney.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, things really moving along today after the Legislative Conference Committee agreed to give all state workers a 5% pay raise. The governor held a news conference with House and Senate leaders at the Culture Center to sign that bill into law. This morning, the conference committee accepted the deal to give all state employees, including teachers, school service personnel, and state police, a 5% pay raise. The West Virginia House and Senate later passed the pay raise unanimously, but Senator Craig Blair from Berkeley County said $20 million in cuts are going to have to be made. The dispute over pay raises and health insurance has brought droves of school employees to the West Virginia Capitol to protest for nearly 2 weeks.
This is a cause for celebration throughout our state. We have done great work over these last few days in terms of providing the largest pay increase in over 28 years to our state employees and particularly our teachers.
We always talk about how important it is to have an educated workforce. Well, let's do right by our teachers. Let's fill those 728 vacancies, and let's absolutely make sure that our kids are ready.
Our team has been at the state capitol as this all unfolded. We begin with Eyewitness News reporter Raven Brown at the Culture Center, where the governor signed that bill into law.
Whitney, he signed the pay raise bill in front of a packed house here at the West Virginia Cultural Center alongside lawmakers and union leaders. Justice saying it was a rough road to get to this day, but it finally worked. This pay raise bill gives teachers, school service personnel, state police, and all other state employees a 5% raise. This is a more expensive pay raise package, and Justice says the additional money will come from Medicaid and other general revenue funds, but says there has been a surplus, so he doesn't see this as a cut. The problems with PEIA will be addressed by a special task force. Justice says this pay raise bill was the right move after changing his thinking, and he's happy lawmakers finally were able to reach an agreement.
Maybe, just maybe, our voices will be heard that really today we are making an investment. We are making an investment to make education and to put education where, in my opinion, over and over it ought to be, and that is first.
Justice also announcing at this press conference he is requesting the state superintendent to work with county superintendents to allow flexibility in the school calendar, saying our children have suffered enough and they shouldn't have to go into the summer to meet the 180-day requirement. He also extended the deadline for the promised scholarship. Also to note, the Senate was in session during this bill signing, so Senator Richard Ojeda, who was really leading the charge for teachers, was not able to attend. Neither was Senate President Mitch Carmichael. Reporting live in Charleston, Raven Brown, Eyewitness News.
Raven, thanks. Now, West Virginia Superintendent of Schools Dr. Stephen Payne released a statement saying that he and his staff will work with counties to identify every opportunity to maximize meaningful instruction while also minimizing disruption to students and families, and that he and his team are committed to finding additional flexibility within their local attendance policies to better accommodate the needs of families. Now, as you can imagine, reaction pouring in from teachers today who have been really holding out for this 5% raise. Eyewitness News reporter Bob Aaron talked to those educators after hearing about this decision. Bob.
It's been an emotional 9 days here at the Capitol, and some of those emotions came through when the legislature finally voted through that 5% pay raise this afternoon. There were a lot of emotion when teachers learned that they had won. That was something that hasn't always been certain over the last few days. There were lots of smiles and even some tears. Here's what they had to say.
Relieved, like we were finally heard, and mostly appreciated and valued for what we do every day.
You didn't feel that way during the last few days, though, did you?
No, we didn't. But we have a lot of good people in there fighting for us, and as you can see, we were all out here together fighting. So this was the community, the teachers, the legislators, and it has been such an overwhelming camaraderie for our state.
Teachers and union officials were cautious about going home until the governor signed the bill, but with the Senate vote in, it was really a done deal. They celebrated and headed home to 55 counties and their classrooms. Now, those teachers, school service employees and state troopers know they've gotten that 5% raise, and it's been actually signed into law. Other state employees who are also promised a 5% raise will get that through the budget process, and that'll still have to happen. Reporting live from the state capitol, I'm Bob Aaron for Eyewitness News.
Bob, thanks. Now, West Virginia union leaders are also happy with the outcome of the teacher walkout. WVEA President Dale Lee says he credits teachers and school workers for their dedication to push for change and continue protesting until their demands were met.
People have shown that collectively they can have their voices heard. And the real winners in this are the children of West Virginia, because we're making an investment in their future by making an investment in education.
Now, as we've said, this pay raise will not only affect teachers. All state workers will be getting that 5% raise as well. Eyewitness News reporter Kaylee Gunderson talked with other state workers about their reaction. Kaylee?
Whitney, many of those state employees tell me they were not expecting this 5% raise. They say they were just hoping for teachers and educators to be able to get what they came for and then quickly get back to the classroom. They tell me that they've passed by teachers every day here at the Capitol walking to work since the strike began, hearing them pushing for several big changes, and one of those being this pay raise. The possible percentage for that pay raise varied, but when Governor Jim Justice announced additional cuts would be made, allowing for all state employees to receive the 5% as well, Tom Williams says he was grateful for that raise, but more relieved for the teachers.
I'm quite relieved that it's all over, because you could almost feel the tension when you're walking to work, and you'd see the teachers out, and it was tense there, especially yesterday. You could actually feel in the air, so I'm kind of relieved.
He also said hearing that this bill was passed with the task force expected to come together and addressing PEIA, fixing that PEIA, he gained some confidence in his lawmakers. Now, coming out tonight at 6:30, I'll have more reaction from other state employees, again saying they weren't expecting this. Live at the Capitol, Kaylee Gunderson, Eyewitness News.
All right, well, once again, after nearly 2 weeks, the West Virginia teacher strike has finally come to a close. Teachers and students now in most counties will head back to class tomorrow, and individual counties will now have to decide how they're going to make up those 9 missed days within the coming weeks. Guys?
All right, Whitney, thank you. Of course, that's a lot of money now to fund these raises, and there are concerns over where exactly that cash to fund those raises will come from.
That's because lawmakers say it isn't being done without raising taxes. Eyewitness News reporter Sarah Liu breaks down the numbers and explains what programs will be affected because no taxes will be raised.
Rick and Callie, Republican leaders held a news conference as soon as both House and Senate passed that teacher pay raise bill. While they were vague in giving out those numbers, they did give some indication of what areas they'll be looking at. Now, Senate President Mitch Carmichael says that Republican efforts brought the largest pay raise in over 28 years to the teachers in West Virginia, and that also includes now all state employees. House Finance Chairman Eric Nelson says that's a total compensation package of $111 million new dollars. Both Carmichael and House Speaker Tim Armstead say that the compromise is a celebration of being fiscally responsible, and as part of being fiscally responsible, it means cuts in other areas of the budget that may be painful.
Many of the cuts are associated with programs that would otherwise have been raised, funding issues that the governor had really felt would move the state forward in terms of additional funding for tourism, additional funding for development offices, and other avenues of funding that will just simply have to be eliminated.
So he says that means the extra money for tourism and commerce will be zeroed out. They'll also be taking a serious look at the additional money discovered in the Medicaid account. Now, the chairman of the House and Senate Finance Committees will get together with their staff and start scouring the budget to pinpoint what will be cut and by how much. And they have to do all of that before the end of the session this Saturday at midnight. For Eyewitness News, I'm Sarah Liu reporting.